Długo zastanawiałem się właśnie, dlaczego chciałbym powiedzieć o biznesie. Chyba dlatego, że w tej chwili jest bardzo dużo prezentacji technicznych, automatyzacji, continuous delivery, performance, wszystko dookoła. Jest tego wiele. Tak naprawdę zauważyłem, że w sumie jesteśmy w tym bardzo dobrzy. Przyjrzałem, rozmawiałem z ludźmi z firmy, pomyśleliśmy chwilkę naszą historię. Okazało się, że kurczę, w ostatnich kilka lat nie mieliśmy żadnej wtopy, technicznej. No to okej, więc pewnie gdzieś indziej w tej chwili są problemy. I stąd wpadłem na pomysł, żeby porozmawiać trochę bardziej o rzeczach biznesowych, a nie technicznych. I tak się skończyło. Jak zawsze, budując agendę, pytałem, czy już zacząć. Myślę, że zacznę po prostu od przypadków, gdzie się czego nauczyliśmy. Opowiem trochę, jak rozmawiamy z biznesem. Trochę o tym, jak estymujemy, ponieważ w naszym wypadku ma to ogromny wpływ, jest ogromną częścią rozmowy. Trochę o metodologiach, szczególnie jeżeli myślimy o projektach fixed price, tak? W jakich metodologiach to robimy i o wyzwaniach, które nas czekają. Kilka słów o mnie. Tak naprawdę już miałem okazję mówić na kilku konferencjach, w kilku firmach, różne branże. Dwie rzeczy, które warto. To ponad 5 lat temu założyłem wraz z kolegami grupę poznański meetup testerski, w sumie najstarszy i można powiedzieć, że to my zaczęliśmy ten trend, gdzie teraz wszystko dookoła. W wielu miastach się dzieje, super rzecz. I może o tym, gdzie pracuję w Cognifide już wiele lat. I tak naprawdę ta prezentacja będzie też trochę o moich doświadczeniach i o tym, jak transformowaliśmy się z takiego małego startupu, powiedzmy, w średni rozmiar organizacji. Nie powiem korporacja, bo wiadomo, nikt nie lubi tego słowa, tak? Okay, few people came. Do I need to switch to English? Just a question.
Nie.
Okay. Dlaczego biznesowe aspekty projektowe są takie łatwe? Jedną z części, gdzie jak zaczynamy dyskusję z naszymi klientami, rozmawiamy sobie o pewnych definicjach, co to jest blocker, co to jest critical dla niego i tak dalej. Później one mają wpływ na to, jak się rozliczamy, na pewne umowy gwarancyjne i inne aspekty. I dlaczego to jest takie trudne? U jednego z naszych klientów przez 2 lata wciąż w umowie mamy dwie definicje, naszą i jego. Bo przez 2 lata nie potrafiliśmy dojść do wspólnego zdania. Oczywiście na poziomie pojedynczych problemów dogadujemy się, współpracujemy już długo, ale na poziomie umowy nie jesteśmy w stanie wciąż, czy takiej pewnej ogólności, jesteśmy w stanie wciąż dojść do wspólnego zdania. Po kilku latach pracy. Tak. Okej, więc może przejdźmy do przykładów, o czym chciałem powiedzieć. Czyli jak mogliśmy lepiej zaplanować projekty. Okay, so I will switch to English, okay? Cool. So let's go to our projects or our issues that we had and how we solved them or what they caused. First case study. I called it test-driven development, but it's not about the that you know, about the unit test and so on. It's about the example that we found after, let's say, 2 or 3 years, that the same components or the same feature we developed not 2 days, but 4 days. During this time, few things happened. So new client came, which has different requirements. We're growing, so we have better clients with better, let's say, quality expected. Okay. We empowered our team, so now all the decision, if the team needs to fix issue or not, it's just made between QA and dev, or by dev. But it's inside the team, yeah? Second, is that we have very good people that are committed to their job. And why we have this problem? When we go deeper, we see that testers or QAs were testing or just adding additional requirements themselves. So, because even if you go and to the team and say, okay, this client doesn't expect the high quality, just work is enough, it's not in fact requirement, yeah? It's just some kind of the opinion. And nobody would like to just say, okay, we don't fix this bug, or I don't see this issue, yeah? So QAs do, rise at it, devs fix it, and it was very expensive, in fact. We call this gold plating, so that we always deliver something with better quality than client expect. Just a few examples, yes, that, for example, clients say that it just needs to work on browser X. What does it just need to mean? It does need to work, yeah? We have different levels, and usually it's the one who has the higher requirement just win inside the team. As the solution, we create something which is called Cognifide standards. So when clients say that I need high quality, we say, okay, it will be this kind of the price. Okay, but I don't have so much money. So can you deliver, let's say, medium quality? It means this, this, and this. Okay. And additionally, it's what team has the same understanding what it means. So now client and team are on the same level. And has some kind of the boundaries of the testing. Just as an example, if we talk about the browser support, so if we have three standards, Gold, Platinum, Silver, we just describe it. What does it mean? And our client then understand what he paid for, or maybe what he don't want to pay, yes, because it's quite important. And our team has exactly the same, and know the boundaries. This description for browsers and for features, yeah, it's exactly the same. Like we do something for outdoors, and you have the input file, let's say upload the PDF file. You can say, what would happen if I upload the JPEG file? It's okay or not? We can say it's a mistake, yeah, because feature crashed totally, or maybe it's okay because I have experience outdoors, and they find they're understanding what means upload PDF file. Okay, another example, expand the scope. When client or our business came to us with a question, I don't know why they came to QA, it's another question, but it was, they used to come to QA asking, how much will it cost to support another browsers? Wow. Okay, we ask, well, how much will it cost to test on this another browser? But they understand, okay, QA say it will be 5,000, so let's say for client 5,000. It's not true, because we just say about the scope of testing, not about the scope of the work. So if we say testing by client understanding support, means that they will test, and if they will find issue, they will fix it. Unfortunately, their understanding was just our. So we talk a lot with our client. We talk a lot with our clients and business and teach them that it's not correct behavior. Additionally, we just came to devs and always ask them and be sure that development estimate that. So it's another lessons learned that it doesn't make to sense testing if something wasn't planned during the development phase. Because if what wasn't planned, you would just find issues. It's quite a chance rather to prevent them, yeah? The same especially when we're talking about NFRs, accessibility and things out there. Just I don't know why it's natural to come to the test and asking how much will be support some kind of the level. Yeah? As a lessons learned, we introduce a few things. That this one is very important. We always asking with that and be sure that the same question that came to us came to them. So we are almost at the same level. What is the scope of the project or of the work? Not the two separate departments. And very important are all meetings or activities which start before we start in development. Agile comes with backlog refinement, BTD with 3 amigos. We have our additional meetings which called QA hacks or QA notes, whatever, still different names in different projects, but it's where developers sit with QA and talk about the scope, and they sure that and they understanding the scope at the same way. Just example about it. One time the head of Java came to me and gave me a feedback. My developers often get the issues or see the bugs, but they didn't know that they have to cover this activity or this action, whatever. So it was the feedback, and we just say, okay, we need to switch left and start work a lot with developers to be on the same page before they start. Okay, study 3. It's easy to promise more. Just an example. In fact, still some of our clients work like this. So there is a project manager or program manager, someone who is competent and have the power to sign the contract and discuss about the scope. But unfortunately, in our case, there was QA consultant and on client side QA manager who discussing the scope too. But they never align together. So when we go to statement of work, I don't know if you know the document, it's the official document where you say you deliver this, this, and this in expected price. And when we just comparing two documents or QA plan, which was created something aside, there were two different scopes of projects. So after that, we promised, our QA consultant promised for client more. We had to additional money, we had additional work, but we never get the money back because it was promised, but it wasn't in the contract. So we lost the money in our case. Our solution was that QA plan is not something that can live independently. It's part of the contract with our client. Now it's an official attachment to statement of work where we agree the scope and what is paid for what. And another thing is that now our QA leads, so someone who leads the projects, know the official scope, what we agree with our client. And his responsibility is not just to deliver what is the QA plan, but his responsibility is to ensure that deliver something which we have in the contract. And the level of quality, for example, that we agree there. So we don't want to deliver always something very high. We want to deliver something which client require and want to pay. Another question, Lean. Lean now is very popular. Okay. And say a lot about removing duplication. So what the issues we had? First, that we say we are QA. So in our case, developer testing a lot. So why do you need tester or QA engineers in your project? Additionally, okay, you have developers which testing. I have my testers which will be validate your project later. Why do you need QA? It's for me something which I do duplication, yeah, so I can remove easily. Second is what's on our side rather, that okay, client says this part of testing we will execute. So we have to believe for client that the team who we don't know will do great job. It's impossible because we are the best. But we had learned a lot to start believe others or just give them some kind of the tips or other recommendations that ensure us that he will do the work. Or we just talk with client and say about the risk. Performance is a very good example. If we say, or we know that performance test needs to be executed, the client says, okay, my team will be executed on the productions, I don't need to pay you the money, okay? But we know that, okay, performance is very risky in the project. So we start talking with client about the risks. So if we found on production, so probably 2 weeks before go live, that performance is slow, he will have to delay the project. So we just, in most cases, we are fine to use another procedures, and on our side we use some kind of the performance monitoring approach, which allow us or minimize the risk that something will go wrong during the performance on production. So we just, during performance, we just concentrate to find critical issues. And of course it's cheaper, and remove the risk, and client, in this case, it's okay, you can add it to the scope because it mitigates our. So we start talking about the risks. Just a few things that we learned. QA from business perspective. So if we go to the business perspective, where we start talking to the client. 3 or 4 years ago, QA just was join projects when it started. Now, QA join when we start discuss with client about the projects before, on the sales part. Because we start treat quality or QA assurance as part of the scope. We always use it inside. So we are very, very early. We discuss it because it removes for us several risks too. Just example, if we even agree the level of automation, or there is 20%, it's okay. And okay, we sign the contract, but when we start developing, our client says, okay, but you need to use QTP or another tool that we don't have, or we don't have a knowledge to learn new tool, which probably is not so effective that we have, and so on. It's why it's very important just even remove it from the risk. Okay. And how we talk with the business, how it's changed. I use automation as example because it's cool, yeah. Everybody would like to have automation projects, but a lot of people when I talk says, I have a big problem with selling. Or even you just look at the blogs, things like that. There's a lot of questions, how I can talk with my bosses to explain them why automation is important. At the beginning, we just go to the client and ask him, do you need automation? How much do you need automation? What coverage do you need? Or something like that. But clients, they say, okay, but what I get from that? And then we see that it's the wrong path if you would like to sell automation. We're talking about the solution, not about the client problem or client requirement. So now we are going to client and asking, what are your delivery approach to you? Do you want production release at the end of the project? Or maybe you want each day? If you find during QIT or, for example, on production an issue, so how fast we need to deliver you the fix? So some kind of SLA, which was from IT, yeah, idea. Another question is, okay, we produce you some kind of the product, but do you want to extend it in the future? Do you want to change it somehow? If yes, okay, we know that probably automation. We talk about his critical areas, which has impact, and ask another question. And when we get all this, we're just going with the answer for client. So if you need this, this, and this, you need the daily delivery. We would like that you during QAT, after 2 hours, you get the fix and the code will be still production ready. Things like that. Probably you need very high automation. Or maybe the answer is yes, you need very high level of coverage, but only 2 specific areas. because they are critical, and he knows that these two areas he will be changing, another not. So probably we don't need automations, we don't need in these areas unit tests or things like that, because we don't need to build extendability or maintainability factors. So we are talking in a different way. QA plan. It's another document, in our case it's very official, which allows us to discuss about the client what we do, but what we want to do it, or what we recommend. So if client says, I will not pay for this, we're building it, adding it in the QA plan with some kind of the recommendation. QA plan. We always deliver it, we call it discovery phase. Before we start the project, we always do QA plan. Because for us, QA plan is not a testing activity or activity that we'll be executing only we. It's a lot of discussion with IT, developers and others. And we just gather all activities from all people who are in this project. So it's quite big document. It's talk a lot about activities, not about the testing, but it ensures clients that we deliver for him good quality, and in fact, it removes the need of test cases or test execution reports, some evidence, because he starts believing that our approach, which is not standard, that okay, after the end of the projects we execute 2,000 test scripts, makes sense. I had a client which worked us 3 years, and after 3 years he came that, okay, now I believe you, it's possible to deliver using very, let's say, it's agile way, or not concentrate on documentation. It's okay, sorry. It's very effective to deliver, and it's in the agile approach, agility way, not just scripting and things like that. Risk log, another thing that we discovered. At the beginning, we have our own QA risk log, where we put the risks. Unfortunately, not too many people read it. But they were important because the risk impact whole the project. And so we moved this to the project risk log. Now we have one project risk log, and all QA engineers, QA lead, can put risk to this log at the same level, like TPM and things like that. And together with project manager, we sit and trying to mitigate this risk. So there is one risk log which going to client, the QA activities are inside. It's not something separate, that there is some test plan containing some specific risks, and they live somewhere inside testing department. No, because if we are sure that we're not able to deliver or test something in specific time, it's a project risk, not testing risk. Yeah? So we move all of Q activities on the project level. Estimation. Why is important? Because, as I said, it changed the way how we're talking with our client. Just an example. If you get about 10 projects each week to estimate, and typically this estimation takes about sometimes 1 day, sometimes 2, and the project, so we need 2 people who only estimate the projects each week. It was quite big time. Additionally, always those questions, why it's so expensive from our size? Why you put this, and this? Another, okay, if client change mind, he don't need now this feature. So the size has to go to developer. Okay, if client doesn't need this feature or change it, how it affect your work? Then came to us, how it affect our work. So get this information was very difficult, because there was 3 or 4 departments who estimate the project. And how we estimated, we use of course a lot of possibilities, so expert class, task, activities, because we believe that as we're working as QA engineers rather than testers, so we are in the groomings, we do some QA hacks or other activity, it's a time, yeah? So we estimate it's a percentage. We use historical data, of course, and others. So how we solve it? So we build something which is called catalog. Each catalog has some kind of a feature or component with some descriptions, the size, and other things. Additionally, you have some kind of the delivery. As I said, if you would like continuous delivery, it's probably some percentage of additional percentage of cost of the project. And when we created this catalog, maybe I'll show you an example just. This one will be better. When you create something, business start understanding what in fact is inside this estimation, what we are talking about. So if we catalog, let's say you need to create a website. So now our business just came and think how big this website is. It's one template, so on the homepage, it has several templates on homepage and another site, or maybe it's very complicated. So it's just kind of the size. Then he just came thinking what client in fact quality need. It's just internal site and I use only IE element, or maybe it's okay, it's still internal just for a few users, so I don't need to be so wide and the quality doesn't be too good. Or maybe it's something that it's my brand site, so you need to shine. And then, using this, we calculate the price of the product, of feature of project. Yeah? Now it's very simple. Example. And then when clients say it's too expensive or our business says something that we need to cut the scope, he just thinking about what needs to be cut and he can make this decision. He not came to us and ask again, what if I change this? What if I change this? And he understands what is inside the price, what quality, what level. It's just example, if you say, probably in our case, in Platinum standard, we have basic automation. So we're thinking about expandability. And now he understanding it better, he can go to the client and sell, or just sit with client and prepare the solutions that is the best suit client needs. So now our business has a freedom and understand what is inside. Another example is just performance, yes? So when we prepare a catalog and so which tasks are in the project estimations, for example, we put the performance monitoring in codes. There's a description. And our business knows what is inside, came to the client. We can just use different let's say size, yes? So once it's very simple, we just sure, okay, it's working. Or we have very specific performance requirement, which are in, for example, because site is all the world, so probably we need to verify how site works from Ireland, Poland, China, and other countries. So it's just descriptions of the size of the work. Okay? And methodology. Because I said that I will be talking about fixed price projects. When you think about fixed price projects, especially me, I always think it's waterfall, yeah? It's just development phase, requirement development, testing, done. It's natural. But Agile comes and changes everything. Because even client wants to always know how much he will pay, so we need to know his requirement to set the price. Then he expected, even in this kind of the projects, that he can introduce the change, because he heard about the Agile. And there's exactly the same from the development team. Development team would like to work with clients. They are quite open on the change, yes? And they would like to work in the different model. The developer, QA, they all cooperate and create something great. So there's two expectations from both sides. That waterfall doesn't suit for them in the kind of the working, but still it has to be fixed price project. So we introduce something which called progressive UAT, which is something that very similar if you look just on the Agile manifesto or in the Scrum. So after the sprint, you make a demo for a client and things like that. We make a demo, but we expect that clients start using our software, not just we show them, because if we show them, everything always is great. But when he starts using, oh, you can change this in a little different way, this can be green, and things like that. It's a difference between show and start using. And why it's important? Because if client comes to us after first sprint and show and say, no, I don't want this button green, I want this button blue, and probably to change on the templates, we can introduce it almost without any additional expenses. Because we just change CSS file in all next components that will be working. And it doesn't matter if you write in next components red or blue, yeah? It's the same code, so we don't need to change even the price. But if it comes at the end of the project, so during this official UAT phase, yes, it's a change, because for us it's a lot of additional work in, let's say, 20 or 30 components that we did. It's why it's very important to get some agility in fixed price projects. So the change request is very cheap, and time to replan. If something changed or client just see that this feature should be different, during the project phase, we have some time to replan the projects. It happened for us a few times when fixed price projects, which they have 8 sprints, after 3 we had to replan totally because client changed their mind, and it was almost without a cost. Later I will say about the example which costs client, because client is not correct progressive UAT, it costs for clients quite big money and delay the project. And still we use official UAT phase, of course, but it's a very short one and it's not cost expensive. Okay, but if we want the constant change, even a fixed price project, it's very costly to keep the project on the high quality or expected something quality level. Because we know that we'll be changing. So if you have to support 10 browsers and you know that this feature probably will change a few times, it doesn't need to support it. We don't need to, through whole project, support these 10 browsers. It's enough if we support one, which is for example, the most technical challenging. And then when client at the end says, yes, it's what I wanted to have, we can just add support for additional browsers. Because it doesn't give any business value, just that he has all the time support browsers. And it's why we need hardening sprint. So we keep in fixed price projects, let's say, quality which allow for a client to verify the project from a business perspective, but we say, okay, it's not production ready. And after the hardening sprint, we make the project or the code is production ready quality. Of course, in Agile world, everybody says that it's an issue to have hardening because we produce technical debt. In fixed price projects, it's a little different world. So hardening for us solves a lot of problems, and it's some kind of the effect agility that we have. Okay. Future. So a few words about the challenges that we have, or we see that we're going to change. First is quality characteristics. ISO 25010 now shows 8 quality characteristics. As I said about automation, we're trying to get some knowledge about, let's say, maintainability or the way of deliveries and produce for him the output as automation approach. It's what exactly we would like to do with all the quality aspects. Just talk about them, the quality, and then propose for him something. So do some kind of the matrix or transformation tools. We now do something for automation, but we'd like to do for everything. And just case study, why I still think that the business is very important. First, project case. So this progressive UAT, progressive verification. So our client has a tester, which after 2 weeks, when we deliver for him the software, he tested it. And during whole projects, I don't know, about 3 months time, he raised just few issues. It's okay, we'll just fix it. So the quality was good. Then the UAT officially started. There was no any technical issues. But during this UAT, client raised few change requests. In fact, it was quite a big change request, which was caused because he didn't look before. He just verified from technical perspective. And this change request caused that the project was delayed about 3 months time, and the cost was about 25–30% more. Because he don't use correctly the progressive, and he don't look at during the project, he don't verify from the business perspective. So from technical, there wasn't any issue, but the business perspective caused the fail of the project, because if you delay the project for so long time with additional budget, yeah, it's fail. And product case. It's a story from one of my friends, which has a product, and he realized one time that they had a lot of number of, let's say, tickets from the users. Okay, so probably I have problem with quality. So they hired several automation testers. They build all automation strategy, everything. Invest a lot of money, but the number of tickets is still the same. Doesn't change. Why? Okay, he got a lot of reports. Yes, there was a lot of effort. We now execute 2,000 tests each day and things like that. But the quality doesn't improve because they didn't think from the business perspective and what users need. It's why I'm thinking that now for us the change is the business aspects, not the technology. Technology, I think we solved. Or we are quite good, so if just new comes, we solve it immediately. That's all. Any question? Yeah?
This will be the questions